Reclaiming Timeless Ways. Welcome aboard. Along with Mike Traster, I'm Simon Fuller. Glad to have you along for another episode. And today we're setting an expectation, Mike.
Yes. I expect to be able to say something useful, but I'm not sure if my expectation is reasonable or not.
Have you gathered the title of this show yet? Expectations. And I'm not even sure. I didn't ask you before we recorded. I don't know which direction we're going with it, because expectations can probably launch a lot of different, probably have a lot of sub-stories to tie back to an expectation.
I think the first thing I'm going to say about expectations is there's a lot of implied things that people want that they never come out and say. And it's a nightmare scenario, because you do something for somebody, and then we've talked about this in a previous show, and they do what's called cutting a deal, right? I give you 3 sheets of paper. I want you to give me a pen. But I don't tell you that.
Right.
But I think, well, it's just reasonable that you give me that damn pen. No, it is not.
Right.
Right? You say, do you have an extra pen that I could have? Mm-hmm. That's reasonable. Expecting it, and which implies you're bad if you don't know it. If you can't read my mind and give me my pen, or damn it, if you dare say no.
Right.
Right? I didn't ask you.
Yeah, you had 2 different expectations for sure out of that transaction. It's interesting because where my mind instantly goes and is tying into what you do. So I'm in marketing.
Right.
I sell radio. I sell advertising,
right,
both on video and radio. And
right,
we talk often about visiting with our clients about their expectations. So if you spend X, what do you want to get in return?
Right.
And sometimes they say, well, I want to double my money. And you say, well, that would be fantastic, but where can you put your money in the world that it's going to double? You might get lucky and throw it on the right stock somewhere,
right,
but how often do you get to stick your money in and get that return doubled? So is that a reasonable expectation?
right.
And you start saying, okay, that would be awesome, but
Right.
what's an okay situation? What's a good and what's a great? Maybe that's the great.
Right.
And just having those conversations, what you're saying in your example is there was an implied expectation by one party that wasn't spoken.
Right.
And that could go sideways real
It's
fast.
manipulative, it's destructive.
Yeah.
Because you're going to wind up resenting the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, well, man, I don't know what it is, Mike, but when you pull this crap, I feel trapped.
Yeah.
I feel like you painted me into a corner. Now I feel obligated to give you this damn pen. You want the pen? Here, have the freaking pen. I'm done with you.
Right.
Right? Here, have 10 pens. Get out of my face. Right?
Right.
What did that accomplish?
Right. Nothing. And
No.
you're both.
We lose.
Yeah.
We lose.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you learn that style of getting your desires met, you're going to become a bully, and people will avoid you.
Yeah.
Right? They might placate you.
Right.
But they won't like you.
You know, it's interesting because you could also tack on a subtitle to this show and every example that are popping into my head as we're talking right now,
Right.
and that is expectations/communications.
Right.
I just even think, and I oftentimes in other shows use the example of with my wife or my children, because that's a majority of my life right now,
Right.
is pleasing those 2 entities in my world. So I say to my child, clean up the living room. Well, I have an expectation of what I want that to look like. It might not match theirs.
Right.
And so they might do what they thought was clean, and I might get upset.
Right.
You know, did I paint the picture
Yeah,
of what that was?
and it right
and whose
here-
fault is it if it didn't get clean to my
Right.
expectations?
And see there, it says clear versus vague.
Bingo. And that's the communication
And he didn't
piece.
even read it.
No, I didn't. I'm just thinking like that is this is so commonplace
It
in
is.
life, in
Yeah,
my
it
workplace,
is.
in my
Right.
home life, in
Right.
my friendships.
Right.
When you came here today, you said, Simon, how much time do you have to record?
Right, I did.
Because
yeah.
you know this is during the workday. How much time did you set aside? You were
Right.
asking, so we were clear. If I said we needed to be done in an hour, well, that's what we would have done for today.
Right.
That is being clear with expectations.
Right. Yeah, I want to treat your time with respect.
Right.
Or, yeah, we'll probably get it done. Don't worry about it.
Or if you didn't ask that, and I meant to be done in an hour, hour and a half, and I'm sitting here 2 hours later,
Right.
upset and not saying
Right.
anything, that's what can happen.
We set it
The
up to
pin,
fail.
right, correct.
Right. So a non-response, if you ask a question and you don't, oh, I don't know, we'll see, it'll work out. Bullshit,
Right.
right? It won't work
It's
out.
almost an absolute guarantee for
Right.
a negative
We're gonna
end
be
result.
We're going to be pissed off at each
Right.
other. It's like, let's do stupid yoga.
Right.
If we do this one posture, we're guaranteed to be mad at each other. That doesn't sound smart.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So let's not do stupid yoga. Let's be clear. If I have, if you're bored, let's say, and you come to my house and I've got 100 books, which I might, and you say, can I look through your books? I say, absolutely. Can I borrow some? Yes. Do you need any of them back in a month or two?
Right.
That one, but otherwise, no, you can keep them for 3 or 4 months.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so maybe put on a piece of paper in one of them 1 month, and the other ones you say 3 months, 4
Sure.
months, right? And then now maybe you're not bored, you're learning something that looks interesting, or just distracting, whatever
Sure.
you want. So the non-response, the other thing is, if you say to me, do you mind, would you help me? And I just tip my head and shrug my shoulders. That's not a yes.
Right.
I'm avoiding responding to you.
Right.
And you can say to me, it's really important that I know whether or not you can help me. Here's how much help I need. Are you able? And it's either way, I respect your answer, but I do need a clear answer.
Right.
Can you give me 3 hours on Saturday? Right.
And that's important. It was making me. I'm laughing in my head,
Okay.
even though it's serious. It's half jokey in my head when I ask somebody, because I've been just as guilty, or somebody asks me, "Hey, what are you doing this weekend?"
Right.
That's the
setup.
question mark, and I'm thinking, even if you didn't mean it to be, my response is, well, that depends what you say next,
Right.
But ultimately, that's me. Not maybe even always intentionally, but
Right.
setting the stage for almost failure. Mike, hey, this weekend I'm going to be working on this project. Would you have a couple hours? Now that's very different. I'm asking you
It
point
is.
blank. I'm
Right.
not saying, what are you doing this weekend? Well, I don't know.
And my response to you would probably be, literally, well, my back's irritable, so I can definitely set aside 3 or 4, maybe 5 hours, but I work at my slower pace.
Yeah.
Right? But I will be there.
Sure.
And so now I'm giving you the parameters of what I can do without making my back grumpier, but I'm saying I would be happy to help. So clarity, and if you give the person, I think it's important to give the person permission to say no. Say, I would really like your help, but I want you to understand this is a request.
Yes.
And the other thing is it's a request. That means
Right.
the person they have the opportunity to say yes or no, and you shouldn't be angry
Right.
with either response.
Right.
Or what is another one? You say to me, could you help me on Saturday? And I go, What is that?
Right.
Right? Well, what do you think of my writing? It's interesting.
Right.
What did I just say?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Right.
I didn't answer you,
Right.
right? So clarity, I think clarity builds trust,
Sure.
right?
Sure, it does.
And vagueness builds opposite.
Yeah.
It destroys trust. And I think that's it.
Yeah, I mean, you really summarize that, Mike, with the clarity, the conversation, communication.
Right.
It really is that simple, but how often do these situations, and many, 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 many more examples we can come up with, fail because we just didn't have the full conversation?
Right. Now, if you're really shy, you might be vague. Or if you're led by a lot of guilt, you might be vague. Or a narcissist might be vague.
Sure.
You've given them 5 things, and they're not going to give you anything.
Sure.
You know, because you're the supply, and they're on the end of the receiving end
Sure.
of the conveyor belt. So
It's like the Seinfeld episode when Elaine says to Jerry, you know, he was dating this gal who was like part of all these charities. She was really very much a giver. And she was kind of poking fun at him for that. And he says, well, that's good because I'm a taker.
yeah,
So I guess if you find the perfect person, but usually that's not a match made in heaven. I just watched too much Seinfeld.
I was
Sorry.
happy for about a day and a half.
That's right. That's right. Well, that wraps up this episode of Reclaiming Timeless Ways. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you, of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And as always, encourage you to share the video out on your social media outlets in hopes that maybe we can help others just like you, or at least bring a little bit of knowledge, joy, information into others' lives. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.